everybody to the first episode of The Rewind. I'm Kev Nash. I'm joined by my big brother, Mainey Maine, and basically my other big brother, Big Sean Hunt. It was only right for me to grab them for the opening of this new podcast that we're going to be doing, The Rewind. We're taking classic looks at classic albums, really digging into them, looking at production, looking at lyrical value, looking at the whole around project, and also, answering the most important question of, does this album stand the test of time? Obviously I grew up with y'all. Y'all are older than me. Y'all were around. Y'all went to go buy this album when it first came out way back in 1992. So y'all got way more stories about it than I do. Basically, I listened to y'all argue about it my whole life until I really had a chance to listen to it. So go ahead, introduce yourselves, give them some quick info about yourself.
I'm just glad to be here with you. You're the professional. This is your show. So I was the quiet one. So I want to start by saying I'm very proud of you and everything that you accomplished or whatever. Watching you hustle on the radio and get your podcast and up. And you was always a ham. You was always looking for the camera when we was a kid. So it was only bound and right that this would be your career. And I'm glad to see you flourish and stuff. But I'm the big brother, Mainey Maine. So like I said, I just want to say I'm happy to be here with you, and then one of my bestest friends in the world, Big Hunt. So I'm the more quiet of these three. So I'm also the smarter of the three. So
Here you go.
But
I'm gonna keep stacking.
Handsome,
keep stacking the side.
So, but that's me. I like Big Hunt. But it's all on you. It's all on you.
All right, yeah, man. Just thank you for the opportunity to be on this podcast, man. I think this has been a long time coming. We all been in this group text for about 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Just with 6 of us, and we call it a podcast. So it's only kind of, I guess I could see this eventually one day coming. And man, I've been good friends with you all. I remember when first seeing y'all on the Hill. And being in 3rd grade and seeing Jermaine at Focus Scope, like, hey, he lives in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And we just been tight friends ever since. Jermaine has always been a mentor to me, and Kev has been like a younger brother. But Kev, you have matured so much to the point where, like, I'm 3 years older than you, but you're like, you're younger when you're 12 and 15. When you're 15 and 12, you're younger. But as you became a man, you just became a straight peer, and we all like the work that you've been doing and everything. So
appreciate it.
I like that you're doing this. I like that you're doing this with hip hop, because for us, believe it or not, Black people don't look at it like that. This is actually Black history, because hip hop culture has influenced us so much. You know what I mean? It's like an ongoing argument with this stuff, and you picked a great CD to go into your podcast with. So
yeah, you mentioned that about hip hop being Black history, but I talked to this about one of my other guys, Mike, and him and I were talking about it, how in rock and roll they pay homage to all the ones that come before him. Like if you look at the Aerosmiths, my mom just went to an Aerosmith concert with my aunt last summer. So you get the young people, you get the old people still going to those concerts, but in hip hop, it's only our generation that will be going to a concert if Snoop showed up or Dr. Dre showed up or like a TLC. Like the younger people shun the older hip hop. It's almost like sports. It's almost like sports. It's almost like the NBA where we got the Jordan Last documentary going on right now, and some people younger are shunning the competition that Mike played against, while people of our era are saying, no, you don't understand how good these guys were. I got a guy that, A Dizzle, who I do my other podcast with, he tried to say Gary Payton was just Patrick Beverly. And I'm like, you have no clue. Like, you have no clue about the offensive production, the assists, the efficiency that he played with, to call him basically a role player. He would be a role player in today's NBA. So, like, that's how I view today's hip-hop versus back in the day. Like, younger people just totally shun what they did. Like, if they talking like Nas with that God body stuff, they don't want to hear it. If it ain't turned up, if it ain't all about a party, if it ain't about doing drugs, they don't want to hear it. So this is part of what I want to do, is to infuse everything that I learned back in the day, and obviously do pods about songs or albums that came out in the mid 2000s that they grew up on as well, to say, I listen to it all. If it's good, it's good. If it's whack, it's whack. I call it how I see it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's jump into this first album up. Dr. Dre, The Chronic. It dropped December 15th, 1992. So where the hell were y'all in 1992?
Hey. I want to know. I'm LA ready. You got LA ready.
Well, for the people that's listening to this podcast all across the country, I want to make sure everybody know one thing. All three of us are from Cleveland, Ohio. No matter what one
Cleveland,
of us.
Ohio. Yeah.
16, no matter where one of us currently lives. We all from Cleveland, Ohio. So I think that's a unique perspective, though. Seriously, we're not from, the East Coast of New York, and we're not from down south, and we're definitely not from Los Angeles. So a lot of people have skewed views, especially growing up in the 90s, who say like, oh, I only mess with this type of hip hop, I only mess with Bad Boy Records, only mess with West Coast stuff, down south stuff. Us growing up in the Midwest, I think we had a unique perspective that basically we listened to it all, and if it was dope, it was dope. But we really weren't sides. We were picking who produced the best.
Right. I'd agree with that. I agree with that.
So
in was Texas, but LA, West Coast, East Coast. If it was, so we had some Midwest rappers too, and you had just Chicago, wherever it was from. We felt if it was good, it was good. So we really didn't get trapped too much into the like, hey, I gotta like this side of the country, or I gotta like that side of the country, so on and so forth. We just liked it. So, but I mean, I'll start as far as for like where I was at. I remember where I was at in '92. I had graduated from high school. You know what I mean? I hadn't quite made my way out to college and everything yet. I was at community college at the time, catching that Rita, catching that RT. I didn't even have no CD player yet. I had the yellow Walkman, Sony Walkman back then with the cassette tape.
With the clip. I think you had the Chevette though. I think you had the Chevette by this time.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Yeah. It was right around that time when I was about to get the Chevette though. Right around the time when I was about to get the Chevette.
Okay.
The white Chevette. Yeah, for sure. You ain't have to throw me out there.
I'll make sure I put a white Chevette.
We used to get like what 6-7 people in that Chevette.
Yeah, people in the trunk, everything, man.
Trunk rider, me and Vori in the trunk.
Everybody had a bucket at some point in time, so I ain't trying to hear it.
Yeah,
I ain't trying to hear it. Except for these new school kids. New school kids don't know what it's like to have no bucket.
Right, our cousin Danny, she out the gate with the same car that I got.
Right, right.
She got a 2020 Kia off the gate.
Getting grown man, grown woman vehicles out the jump. I'm real.
Hunt, where was you at in December '92?
So I remember the fall winter of '92 real good. I think my parents had just split, and my brother had graduated in June '92, but he eventually left the house that winter. So of course, me being a younger brother too, my brother is 2 years older than me, and I got a lot of my music perspective from him. He's big on production, and he's real big on Dr. Dre and Ice Cube back then. So I didn't have to buy these CDs. He bought them. He bought the street, the Niggas for Life. He bought the Ice Cube. I would just pick it up after he took it out of his Walkman, either dub it, and I'd play it. So of all my favorite CDs, like Chronic might be like my favorite CD of all time, but I remember. I think I waited for him to let me borrow it, but he was out the house. So it was like this 2 to 3 week period that this CD came out, and I didn't hear it yet, but I kept hearing about a particular song like High Powered. Okay, and then we're not gonna talk about it yet, I'm sure, but so when I got to the tape or whatever, I remember I fast forwarded like straight to that song. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would always wait for my brother to get the Dr. Dre, the Ice Cube and stuff, and just use his. So yeah, I remember that time and era, man. I definitely remember that time. So when I first heard it, I skipped a couple songs. And then I went to those songs, and I was just like, "Geez, like wow, this is pretty good, man." So and then I think like I just told y'all, you got to look at the CDs that was out at this time. You had Redman's first CD came out in '92. MC8's Music to Drive By. You had Eric B. and Rakim, Don't Sweat the Technique. You had Arrested Development, Ice Cube, The Predator. You had, now you know what crew, if you ask me, the Dog Pound crew, you know what the Dog Pound had to compete with? Kind of the Hit Squad. Because
Yeah,
DOS
right.
Effects came out that
You
year.
jumping too
DOS
far
Effects,
ahead. You fast
you
forwarded.
think so?
You fast forwarded to the whole second half of the conversation.
Okay, okay,
You get
but
behind
look.
yourself. So Kevin, you take back over and kind of walk the
All
walk
right, all
the
right, go ahead, Ken. You know I can talk for days on
you
this.
gonna talk for about an hour, and I'm gonna go play some video games. You gonna keep
So
talking.
if my memory serves me, so as for me, I'm like 12, 13 at the time. I'm basically like you, Hunt. I don't have any money. I'm not buying those CDs.
Yes, yes.
I'm only listening to whatever Maine is blaring out of his room. If we ride in the car
Yeah,
together,
yeah.
and damn sure I shouldn't be listening to this music at all. And I got this one memory about listening to, it was probably Niggas for Life in the house. And I told my mom, like, yo, they cussing on this record that Jermaine be listening to. Like I told him. So I had no clue or didn't understand like this is where music was headed, because at that time I would just listen to whatever was on the radio. I mean, shoot, in like the 90s, it was shoot like Madonna, or like even then like when kid rappers like started coming out
Yeah.
with ABC and Crisscross, like yo, those are obviously the people that were speaking to me, not this type of music, not this what we would learn or would transform into what we call G-funk or gangster rap, whatever you want to call it. So as for me, like I didn't listen, I don't even think I even listened to the album until maybe like that summer, until the biggest single off of it came out, until that video came out, until uh, Rap City and Your MTV Raps would play the single Nothing But a G Thing 100 times a day. Like, so I had no
Uh,
clue what that album was about. I really didn't even know who Dr. Dre was until much later.
Right. Hey,
so
hey,
can I ask a quick question here? Can I ask a quick question?
him said telling my mother that, hey, he listening to this album and it got curse words. I remember putting the tape in for Kevin, like Ninjas for Life or some Ghetto Boys. I was like, I'm playing some songs for him. He like, nah, I don't like it. Oh, what you don't like it for? Because they cursing. I'm like, what? They got bad words in it. Like,
I
Let me
goody
ask
two
this
shoes,
question.
little dude.
Let me ask this question. Was Jermaine like my brother? And I never told my brother this, but like when I first heard the NWA start the Strata Compton album, I turned it up on my radio and I put my ear up real low and I was listening to it like, geez. But my brother would just play it in front of my mind. He'd be like thinking like, dude, what are you doing? And like he would just play it. Like he would just play it, man. My
I,
mother be
I,
like,
I really can't remember it, like how he would play it. Well, we was different because
he worked
my
the night.
mom worked night, so it was like when
gotcha,
she
yeah.
left work about 8:30, he basically did whatever he wanted, how he wanted, and I just had to roll with it. Like, well, this is what we doing tonight. We listen to this, and I remember telling on him, and she just looked at me like with this face, like you'll be listening to it in no time, type of look on her face, like what she gonna,
Uh,
what you want me to do about it, kid?
Right. But I think with Dre, like I think kind of where Hunt was going with, hey, what else was out during that time? Like I remember what I remember about this CD or this tape. First, it was tape. Let's get this. Let's be for real with this. If somebody telling you they went out and bought this CD day one, or if somebody tell you I knew this CD or tape was gonna be a classic, they lying to you. They lying
yeah,
to you. We
yeah,
was walking to the green light buying tapes at that time. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we had the cassette tapes or whatever. Now don't get me wrong, I done had like in my life 5, 6, 7, 8, probably like 10 CDs of the Chronic or whatever. We won't talk about how I ended up getting them, but but you know, it was about
record exchange
and buying the tape. And I remember, like, you guys know, like, my favorite NWA album was that Ninjas for Life. And it was no knock against Cube. I love Cube and everything. But how I looked at it is like Cube left. We knew Cube was the man, the first 2 NWA cassettes. We knew he was the man. Okay, even though Easy had some shine, we knew Cube is that man. Then he went out and had his own tape. So that just solidified he was the man. But Ninjas for Life, where I liked it is we all knew that Ren was a good rapper and Dre was good on production and Easy was easy. But I felt like Dre really stepped it up on the production for Niggas for Life after Cube left. I felt like this production took a whole nother step forward. And I don't want to say it's not like they didn't miss a beat with Cube, but I remember that time people was like, oh yeah, NWA ain't gonna be the same without Ice Cube. We was expecting that downfall, and that downfall didn't come. They stepped it up and kept moving forward. So that led to that when back then we ain't had the internet. We ain't had the internet.
Yeah.
The source was on the rise. Fresh and Word Up was about to take that decline at that time.
I forgot about that.
Fresh, your Word Ups, your Beats magazine, all them, and the sources on the come up and everything at that time. So, you know, a lot of what we was hearing is you hearing a little bit on MTV, MTV Raps at whatever at the time, or you hearing it on air. What was it? What was your boy's name on BET?
Joe Claire?
No,
before. Chris Thomas.
Chris Thomas. Chris the Mayor, yeah.
I don't want to miss it, but that's where we was hearing that stuff from. That's where you heard, okay, Dre, you know, leaving NWA. So, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm leading to is, you know what, when this tape was coming out, people would say, okay, you know, what you think about this tape? It's gonna be good. Dre was the beat guy. It's gonna be good. He make beats. It's gonna have some good beats and everything like that. But if you tell me somebody said day one they knew Dre's Chronic was gonna be, besides Dre and Snoop knew it was gonna be a classic, I'm gonna point to a liar right there.
Well, hold on. Let me say that. I'll jump in here. Let me say this. We can't really talk about the Chronic yet because you got to remember, Deep Cover came out about 6 months prior.
Yeah, we gonna get to that.
And then Snoop had this style on there with the way he was singing that 187 on Undercover Cop. It was just so different.
Right.
So I remember people being anticipated for Snoop, but I feel like the Chronic just came out of nowhere because, like you said, you really didn't hear much Dre leaving Easy. You would catch tidbit, but I remember this CD just came out of nowhere. It was like, oh, Dre has a CD. No one knew like who was on the CD or anything like that. So it was just like it just kind of boom came out of nowhere. And then when I first seen the cover of the CD or the tape, I was like, man, this is plain as heck, man. He just sitting on the white cover. I'm like, what is this? So it was just like, for me, it was just boom out of nowhere. But I know people was anticipating Snoop Dogg from Deep Cover, which I'm gonna just throw this in there. I think Deep Cover is a good song, but I wasn't a big fan of Deep Cover because Public Enemy would get the F out of Public Enemy. Used the same sample, would get the F out of Dodge, and then if I'm not mistaken, Ice-T used the same beat for that song Ricochet. Suckers stay and get hit by the ricochet. Y'all remember that?
Yeah,
I definitely remember the PE.
Yeah, so when I heard the Deep Cover, I was like, man, that's like the third time I'm hearing this beat in like a year and a half. So I wasn't, but I still liked Snoop, but I wasn't that big on the song. So
right. Yeah. I give you that. I feel like Deep Cover, I can't even remember the movie. I know Lawrence Fishburne in it.
Jeff Goldblum in it too.
You remember Gangsta Jeff? But hey, you know,
yeah.
like Deep Cover grew on me with time. You know what I mean? The song, it was a good song or whatever. I liked it more as the years went on. But to me, it wasn't like right off the bat like this is a banger. I remember liking the song. I liked it, so I don't want people to be like to roast me like, oh, you crazy? you talking about at that time. I liked the song. Just over the years, the song just to me got better and better. That's all I'm saying. And I think Hunt's right.
You had the extended version, remember?
Right.
You had the extended version. I was like, man, I like that extended version. I was like, okay, yeah.
Right. So I feel like during that time too, you talking about like people had the EP cassette tapes would come out, you know, where you had like the remixes, and we've had conversations over the years. That's the part about hip hop I miss or whatever, like true remixes.
Yeah.
I miss that right there. But you had the cassette tapes with the EP, the song on one side, and then like a different version or remixes and unreleased tracks on the other side. And they kind of like that deep cover kind of led you to like build up some anticipation, like what's Dre gonna have when it come out. Again, beats, so on and so forth. And it ain't no knock on Dre. There's no knock on Dre. He a Hall of Famer, but like, come on, like we know Dre from Express Yourself rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he a lyricist. He was a rapper.
Yeah.
But Cube and Easy and Ren had the rap shine, while Dre had the beats. And I know we might talk about this later. I've always felt like Dre does a good job getting people on his tracks and himself to conform to the beat that he made when he starts rapping.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
He conformed so many small. Hunt need to have this conversation. There's so many small things that take place in a Dr. Dre song. So many layers upon layers upon layers that make that track what it is.
Yeah.
So
now, man, you alluded to it when Dre left NWA. We all knew that. Well, y'all knew that he was a great producer and a great beat maker. But on this album, he introduced us to a whole new crew of rappers. We talking about Snoop. We talking about RBX. We talking about Daz. We talking about Corrupt. We talking about Lady of Rage. I believe that's everybody that appears on the album, if I'm not mistaken.
Daz, Corrupt, yeah.
So a whole slew new rappers. Now, you want to talk about like a little age difference. You know, Dre is probably about 10 years older than most of those folks. Right. So that's why I think like the album itself, you talk about the plain cover of it, you know, when I look at it now, you look on Wikipedia, whatever, you see what the album cover was supposed to emulate. It's supposed to emulate the rolling papers and everything like that. So I think that's why I like had an older style to it. But you talk about him introducing us to all these now what we call great rappers, especially somebody like Snoop that is a legend in the game. And Snoop's intro on the actual album, that beat right there, Snoop talking big shit on there for a dude that's only been on one single. Like he talking like he's about to be next, and he eventually became the next guy in rap.
Man, can I jump in here? I was thinking about that too, and he jumped right into these beefs that Dr. Dre had. He's on there dogging Eazy-E. He's on there. I don't know if the intro did he dog Luke, but he's in there just dogging them, and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Tim Dog.
Tim Dog. That Dre gave him the whole intro by himself. Dre wasn't even on there, but y'all remember Bow-Legged Jamal from the Hill?
I don't.
Bow-Legged Jamal used to hang with Carlos.
I remember, yeah.
I was walking down, I went to Collinwood High School. I was going down, walking to Collinwood, and he picked like me and Trey up, man, and he was booming that, he was playing that intro, and he had a system, and I was like, yeah, for those who don't know, a system is a great sounding music in your car with bass and everything. We used to call it a system, you know, but man, he was playing, I was like,
a great way to waste your money, kids. A great way to waste your money.
Exactly. And Dr. Dre always says he puts stuff in there in his songs that messes with your eardrums. When you put that on, listen to your right speaker. There's this, and you almost can barely hear it. And then on your left side of the speaker, it says something. Oh yeah, that's sweet. It keeps going back and forth, back and forth. And then you got the keyboards going off, man. Oh man, That's a live intro right there, man. That's a hard intro, man. But Snoop going in, man. He just talking, but he
And there's
gave, and then
no
he
rap.
gave props. What's up, Ren? Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no rapping. It's just like I would love to find out what he did when he went to the booth. Is that just like, yo, just turn the mic on, Snoop Dogg, just talk your
Yeah,
shit, or is this written down? Did you have this plan? Like
yeah,
there's no rap.
Right.
yeah.
No,
No,
he's spot on. He's spot on. This Jerry and Easy, all of them. Any beef that Dre had at that time, you know what? It was like Snoop saying like, "Hey, you know what? These Thundercats that Dre about to put out here, we gonna handle all of that for you. We gonna handle all
Got
that."
it.
So, and at that point in time when Snoop first coming on and talking that big game, you don't even know about the other Thundercats that's coming on the second half of the track, on the second half of the CD. When you got your
Yeah.
Rays and you got your,
Yeah.
sitting there listening to that CD, you know, like the pacing of the CD over the last 2 weeks of kind of just listening to it is like, you know what, you got you got a front half of that CD with some cuts and some bangers, and then out of nowhere,
Yeah.
he's like, let me show you what real direction I'm going. Even the I feel
After
like
Little Ghetto Boy, yeah.
even the production like he had a certain style of production on the front half, and then he was like, okay, here my crew on the second half, which now he introducing the crew, and it like you already like the CD, and then the back half or the back of the back tape, the side B had you wanting more. He's like prepping you like, okay, this is what direction I'm going right now. I'm like a to be continued. Like when you see a good movie, it's to be continued, and you're like, now I gotta wait for 2 years for the sequel to come out. That's how you felt when you listened to that tape.
It's funny you say that, man, because after I listened up to Ghetto Boy, at Little Ghetto Boy, I said to myself, "Geez, I'm glad it's not the end of the CD." But I feel like the first, because it's 16 songs on there, so Little Ghetto Boy I think would be number 8.
Right.
And you
Seven.
flip the tape over. Here comes some real gangster stuff, man. And
Right.
I think the first half of the CD had what I would call some safe songs. There's some safe songs, man. You know.
Those are
So
all the singles.
yeah,
All the singles are on the
Right.
first side of the CD.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So something that else came out from this album, like y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but like the skits. Like I know, like listening back to Niggas for Life, like they had some skits on there, but like you talk about the D's Nuts. Like I remember being in middle school and us doing D's Nuts jokes all day long, doing D's Nuts prank phone calls, and then D's Nuts made a return like a couple years ago, but like the skits on this album is the 20 sack pyramid where they doing the 20 sack pyramid, and then the doctor's office stuff. Like that's just like a standout situation for me. Like these skits are memorable, and like I don't remember, so like correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody else was doing skits like this before this album.
I think
De La Soul did.
NWA had some skits, like you said, De La Soul. I wanted to say I thought Red
Yeah.
like he's always had like some skits.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't want to get into the who started it or anything like that. But to me, it's like, okay, is the skit quality? Is it good? Is it funny? You know, do we got that's what matters to me.
I remember on the 27th. Okay, before I go into it, are we going to walk pretty much all the songs down?
No, we
give
go.
a
We
commentary?
good. We go where you want to go. We good.
Okay, I remember when I heard this 20 sack pyramid, it was just like, that was the first time we really heard DLC's voice. Like, God, listen to his voice, man. It's really up, man. Like, but the way they did that, man, when he say things that Tim Dog would say, man. Like, dude, man, Dre don't waste anything in his skits and everything. But if we could segue to the to Dre Day real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right after the intro, you hear and I watched the video for Dre Day the other day, and so when you hear the NWA CDs, he has sampled some funk, but he was heavy on funk, on the Chronic and on Snoop Dogg's album, and I think he really wanted that to be known. They starting this era. So when you watch the Dre Day video, as soon as it come on, he has his Funkadelic shirt on. Then he go, yeah. Then he points at it. He opens up his shirt, Funkadelic. Hell yeah. So I think he really wanted to like jam funk down your throat with this album and with Snoop's album. So when I first heard Dre Day, I was surprised that they were just, going in on Easy. And I was like, where did this beef with Luke start with? You know what I mean? And but Snoop did well on that for him being like a rookie at this time, man. I was like highly impressed by how Snoop was rhyming. And Dre Day had a great beat. I mean, how can you go wrong with that sample? I think that I don't know if that's Jamaica Funk and I forget, but how can you go wrong with that sample? But and then right after that, here comes Let Me Ride.
Right.
So Let Me Ride, in my opinion, when I heard Let Me Ride, I thought it was okay. But it wasn't until I seen the video. It's like, oh, with the 6.4s and everything, everyone hitting 3-wheel motion and everything, and then you would see people in the city, with these cars and everything. Man, that song really came to life, and it took you to the West Coast culture of what they do, because then they started adopting it here. You know what I mean? I think that was a perfect window of what they do into the West Coast. Because remember, I said earlier, the Predator came out. Ice Cube Predator came out. Remember, he had Good Day on that CD. Remember when Cube hit 3-wheel motion on that CD?
Yeah.
I mean, on that video. So man, like that Let Me Ride kind of really lets you see everything with the cars and everything, man. I thought that it really came to life when you saw the video for Let Me Ride.
Right.
You talking about singles? There is no bigger single off of there than Nothing But a G Thing. But I know you two guys have a different opinion about G Thing. That's the song that the world knows this album from, but y'all just think it's just not just the song on there, but it's not as big as what the world makes it seem in y'all eyes. That's not the song that we played. That wasn't the go-to song that for us, I should say.
Not at all, man. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'll let you talk on that one.
I want to hear what you say. I want to hear what you say.
Okay. For me, G Thing, that was the last song I listened to on that CD. I thought that was a very safe song, and to this day, I'm surprised how well that song did. I played the sample. I remember I gave y'all the sample yesterday.
Yeah.
That song for me don't even sound like a Dr. Dre. It don't even sound like a Dr. Dre beat of Dr. Dre production. I never really got in the car and put G Thing on. I really never liked the song. I think it's my least favorite song of the CD. But it is a good rap. It's a good rap though. It's a good rap, man. And
That
I think the video. Yeah, the video. Yeah.
That video.
Yeah.
Going to the house party, spraying the girl with the 40 ounces. And
Yeah.
it was that record that, basically crossed hip hop over.
I never thought about it like that.
How it crossed over, made a crossover. Maybe y'all could talk about it, but when I was watching the documentary Defiant Ones on Dre, that was the record that basically took hip hop in a totally different direction, made people in the suburbs listen to their music like that. So maybe y'all could speak to that. I wouldn't know. All I know is that was the song that was always on the radio, so I liked it.
Yeah. I would venture to say I don't think we can speak to it like a Dre or Rubens and they from that are in the industry. I know. I mean, people from the suburbs was listening to the NWA and the Ice Cube tapes and everything back then.
Yeah.
What I can say, I feel like this was maybe a song. And definitely was on the radio, and it was more than just on the black radio station. That's probably one of the first times I heard a hip hop song that wasn't just on the black radio station. It was on the white radio stations as well too.
Okay.
I feel like this may have been the song that the suburban mom and dad felt was safe for little Timmy and the they case where with the beat, with the melody, so on and so forth, and how smooth how smooth Snoop is, and he just glides through the track. Just like, you know, like I felt like that, and they playing it on the white radio station or whatever, obviously edited, that made it where, okay, this is safe for my little one, little Haley, not Haley, Allie or Timmy or Timothy to listen to before I dropped him off at Catholic school.
And I think you're right, man. Like I said before, the rap I think is real good, and it really catches you in. As simple as it is, at 1, 2, 3, and to the 4. That is really catchy, man. That's probably got to be one of the catchiest rhymes though I've ever heard, man. I definitely will say it's one of the catchiest rhymes. But the video was I thought the video was pretty good too, because it also, their videos kind of let you know how they kick it over there. It was nothing really extravagant about the videos. It was just like a night out with them or a day with them, and they kicking it.
They got
drinks, they got 40s in their hands, and you say what, man?
Took you to the West Coast. They brought you into their world. That's thinking back to that time. You know, and even with how big, you know, East Coast, whoever was big at the time, Dre with the Chronic brought you into their world. Like, here's our house parties out. Here's the Slauson swap meet. You know, they brought you into that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what was the most surprising thing when you went back and listened to it?
I think for myself, I think that it's you know, we've talked before. Hey, you know, does a CD a tape, does it age well? I feel like this CD aged well. Whatever I didn't listen to, it was only like 2 tracks that I probably didn't really listen to at the time when it first came out and we were rocking it heavy back then. That I was like, okay, I still feel the same way about. But what I saw over the last week or whatever is like how much I gravitated to the second half of the tape. Like the first half of the tape was very building like a crescendo. It's building you up, building you up, building you up, building you up. It was good songs building you up. And then we always talk about crew songs. Like then he was like, let me introduce you to this new crew that I'm rolling with. And then that's when it was like, okay, that's when that punch in the face came. Like it was a good tape. Yes, I'm rocking with this tape. And then bang, that rat-a-tat-tat and Ninja Nigga with a gun, all of that start come on, and he introduced lyrical
gang bang.
He start introducing you to these other folks and everything. And it's like how I envisioned it, Dre at that time. I envisioned him as in full coaching mode, like no longer just a producer. Like he is now like a maestro or a coach, like coaching them, these young bucks and everything, them Thundercats on these tracks. Them guys ain't just get on here and just rap raw. I can just see him through that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that somebody that's never been to the studio before can go in there and lay down a 16 verse about a subject matter. Because I mean, if you listen to a Snoop interview about how he used to rap, he just used to rap the whole entire song. So you talk about coaching. I'm sure he did that. I'm sure DOC coached him on a bar structure. Like, boy, that's too long. Take this word out, put this word in. Like, it was definitely a lot of coaching going on. But for me, the biggest thing that surprised me listening back to the CD, how much RBX is on here. RBX is on here a lot.
I'm glad you said that,
And Lady of Rage and Corrupt, probably the best lyricists of the crew, really ain't even on here. They on like 2 songs. Right. So RBX got a lot of shine on this album.
Right. Rage, going back and listening, thinking about it, like after the careers, you think like Rage and Corrupt and Daz and them was on this CD a lot more, and then listening to it, like, okay, they really wasn't on this all that much, but they were. Where we giving them credit is because they was on the EPs and the remixes and stuff like that. Okay, so we kind of encapsulate all of that into the same thing, into this album or whatever, like an experience, and I guess I would say.
What about you, Hunt?
So here's what surprised me of most going back and listening to it. I thought to myself, I said, man, he should have gave Rage more shine, man, because Rage is my favorite, man. Rage might be in my top 10 lyricists of all time, man. I think she's a great MC. She should have got a little bit more run, but I was also surprised, and when you talk about RBX, I was very surprised at what he did with RBX. RBX has this voice, man, that Dre really brought out, man. I don't know if he was adding something like on High Power to RBX's voice, but man, he did something very magical with RBX voice. Now remember, right after Let Me Ride was the day the ends took over.
Right.
And me and Underwood talk about this a lot, how you got to kind of be in the moment of certain songs. Like if you're not in the moment with the day the niggas took over, you won't understand really what it was about because the Rodney King verdict came out.
Right.
People was pissed. They was over there looting and stuff. And that's a very high energy song, man. I think that's probably most of the first 8. That might be the most high energy song that they had on there. But I think RBX did well. So when you go after Little Ghetto Boys, after the Little Ghetto Boy song, man, what he did with RBX on High Powered, what he does with RBX on Lyrical Gangbang. And I really like the song Lyrical Gangbang because I felt like they were on the West Coast, but they said, listen, we can go toe to toe with you East Coast people. Watch this. Let me let these 3 go at it. So what he did, if you notice in that song, man, every time like Corrupts get to his height of his verse, he plays those keyboard like that's at the peak of each verse. And he does the same thing with RBX when he says that I do you no good, one stump to the face, no haste, you're getting smoked like wood. So here come those keyboards, man. It really highlights his verse and everything. So then RBX comes with the High Power. Man, everyone was talking about this song High Power. I dropped bombs like Hiroshima. Man, I think he did. Like that's part of that is a very, very original song because there's no chorus. It's just about what, 2 minutes long. Trey talking all this mess at the beginning, and then he goes into his RBX starts. He's very calm, 7 execution style murders. Then he goes in, man. Like man, that production is just great, man. It's just what y'all think about that?
Classic. Like just the beat, like I'm not even sure. I'm probably do it later, but like I want to know what that sample is. Like, you know, we talk about Dre and his production, but like Maine was talking about like him coaching, and that's how I see him now. Like now it's not just the beat making, he's like basically the Quincy Jones of rap. You know, like he's sampling, but instead of sampling, it's almost like he's bringing the instrumentation back to the song, like, cause ain't no way that's a sample. Like that has to be reproduced for it to sound like that. Like you can't tell me he took a record that was probably made in the 70s and made it that loud and booming in a car like that. So that beat, just that beat alone, is one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think we talk a lot, and a lot of people talk about like who's better. You got Premier, you got Dre, your Timberland, so on and so forth. Like I think when we talk about like great producers as well, you have to talk about, you know, who they brought into the game. Part of it with Dre is okay. Yeah, he made beats or whatever. You got your NWA tapes, and you got his Chronic and the different songs he made throughout his career. But you also got to look at like, okay, you know, he had to identify a talent. It's not like we've seen. I'm not bashing anybody. We've seen crews where like, you know, one of them makes it big, and then he tries to introduce you to his crew, and you're like, okay, these other guys is not as talented. Dre identified. He didn't just let anybody rap on his CD. Like the voice of the RBX, he got that. That goes back to what I said earlier. It worked with the beats that RBX was on. You know, the Corrupt and the Lady of Rage, they worked with the beats and the timing and the pace and everything of it. Yeah. I don't even think we're probably doing this CD justice. We might have to come back because we might have to do a show where you got to do it track for track. You have to like and then talk about track for track, because you letting these fans of yours just think about, like, go through memory, or they're gonna walk away from this if they haven't heard it. Well, let me go back and listen to my dad's tape. Young Buck millennial fans.
So
Man,
did you guys
you know,
listen to the main source? Did you guys listen
yeah.
to the main
I
source?
listened to it. Yeah.
And the Death Wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so both of those sound equivalent. Now, that's what the sample that he uses on Rat-a-Tat-Tat.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he put so much stuff over it, you can't even tell, man. I remember Kelly hit me up the other day, was talking about creative sampling, man. He put so much stuff over that. And man, that's another real that might be my second. I think Stranded on Death Row and Rat-a-Tat-Tat and Hot Power, man. Like those are up there are the three. But what he did with Rat-a-Tat-Tat, here's the funny thing. If you listen to Dad's interviews, Dad said he did the scratches. Yeah, Dad said he did the scratches on it. Then I seen this other interview with him, that dude, the Dreads Down South dude.
Yeah.
Dad said he produced the song. Like, okay, Dad. So, but man, the stuff that he puts over that song, man, and how Snoop is saying that, never hesitate to put a nigga on his back. And then when it stopped and they get that dude that owes him money and stuff,
With the link.
Oh man. Yeah. You get the link with, can I get those ends? Yeah, man. But when when Rat-a-Tat-Tat hit, man, the rest of that CD, man, it's just like, man, all them songs is on 10, man.
Yeah. The second half of this tape, like you said, like, and shout out, I should have said it earlier, shout out to like DOC you mentioned earlier. That you're right, that's the first time we heard his voice on that skit, that 20 sack pyramid or whatever. But it definitely like you go back, like DOC first CD, that first tape was ahead of his time or whatever. And so then to see him on here, you kind of, that was like instant nostalgia when you got to that. And the first time you hear DOC on a track or whatever on here. Yeah. And right when it go into lyrical gangbang, out of that, Rage is up first and it punch you right off the bat. Off the bat. It's no wait, like, let me see what this is about. Let me see if this fit right. The beat kick in, you hear the 808, you hear her voice, it thump right off the bat. Right off the bat.
And those lyrical gangbang, high power, Stranded on Death Row, those songs don't have no chorus. They just rhyming.
Right.
Straight through. They just rhyming, man.
So I want to ask y'all about the songs that y'all didn't like back in the day, that you didn't like when it dropped.
On this CD?
Yeah, on this CD. This CD, what songs, like, it was all, like, it's an always fast forward, it's an always skip.
For me,
go ahead.
I understand the message, but I, like Hunt mentioned earlier,
I know what you're gonna say.
The number 4, the day the niggas took over, I would skip that. I would skip it then. I would skip it years later. Like, you gotta remember, like, this was in '92. The Chronic rolled with me from community up to through college and graduation. This was easily bumped for like five plus years, hands down, regardless of what was coming out.
So you've been skipping that song. You skipped that song for 5 straight years.
Right. It never.
On them long drives from Cleveland to Central State.
Right. It was not my cup of tea. And for the most part, Little Ghetto Boy, I skipped that.
Yeah.
Went back and listening to it for the last 2 weeks. I already.
Y'all too.
Instantly, my finger. I knew when they was coming. Instantly, my finger was.
God.
I had terrible.
To listen to them, but I was like, they wasn't my cup of tea. I'm not gonna say they whack. They just they weren't for me. I didn't feel them. So that's.
But this was about the Rodney King riots. Those 2 songs, right? Those 2 songs are basically about what was going on with the Rodney King riots, right?
The day the niggas took over, yes.
Public Enemy, it ain't have anything. I ain't like the song. I guess.
Okay, fair enough. What about you, Hunt?
I definitely skip over Little Ghetto Boy, man. I tried it, man. I tried it, man. I don't. I skip over Little Ghetto Boy. I respect G Thing, but I skip over that. I like the day the niggas took over, man. I like that song. I like it because I like the production of it, man. It's kind of got a lot of energy behind it, man. I like that song. Actually, I kind of skipped a little bit over. I guess probably because I heard it so much. Is Dre Day. Yeah. Sometimes singles can kind of you
Yeah.
get tired of hearing them, whatever. I still like the song a lot, but I kind of skip. But the main song I skip
Yeah,
over
I can see that.
is Little Ghetto Boy. And actually, I skip over a nigga with a gun.
See,
I skip over that a lot.
I like that song.
Nigga with a
Hey, you
gun
know what
is like,
drums those? Hey, you know what drums those are?
no,
That's Houdini's friends. Yeah, that's Houdini's friends.
really?
Yeah, you
For
can't
me,
hear it back
going back, listening to it, like I didn't know that nigga with a gun banged that hard. Like as I'm listening to it, I'm like, I don't remember this song being so good. So it like made the experience better because like that was one of them songs that like I wouldn't listen to. Like I really never listened to Little Ghetto Boy, but I always did listen to They Niggas Took Over. But like it was always like somewhere I always remember like it was somewhere in the middle that I don't like. Like something like whatever. Like, but I always remember getting back to rat tat
No, I
tat.
like this
So
song, man. I like this.
Yeah.
Listen to it. Yeah, we definitely have to do this again where you got at least like show the fans at least like the first 10, 15 seconds of the track or whatever. Because no, I like this one.
Well, hold on, listen.
I,
Hey, hold on, listen here. When nigga with a gun come on, this is what I said when I started playing it 2 weeks ago. Oh, another West Coast artist with a gun in somebody's mouth. How many times has this been done?
But
I know Spice One and did it 50 times, man. Oh man, but Dre on that song, man, you know he's Superman on that song right there.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
You know, it's a good song, but it's a good. I ain't gonna lie, but I do skip over that song. So.
All right, so we had like you heading into the last three tracks and everything on here, because Hunt obviously he was big on high power, and
yeah.
you know you're heading into where you got introduced to Raise and Corrupt and Lyrical Gang Bang, and now you rolling out of that little skit, the doctor's office, and you go straight into Stranded on Death Row.
Yeah.
Straight into.
I mean, you open up with Bushwick Bill. Like,
right.
I think that's like technically, you want to be a technical, like that's the only feature on the album. I mean, yeah, you got everybody.
Yeah, well, I would agree.
He's the only feature on the album that's not a part of that team. And I just remember y'all playing that song nonstop. Now me and Maine had his ongoing joke for years about my best friend growing up, Darian, his older brother used to tape the DOT Funky Enough on VHS tape and play it over and over and over again. That's how I felt about how Maine used to play Stranded on Death Row. He would play that nonstop and try to school me on what they saying or try to school me about why it's so hard. Like I don't know when it clicked for me, and maybe it was like going into like 7th grade, so maybe like even like a year and a half later, till I realized, yo, this shit is hard. Like, yo, this is a good, it's good shit. So where was y'all with it?
Well, you already told. You just told everybody where I was at. Where I was at with it, like it just came on right now, like crew songs. It's one of my favorite crew songs, and like you'll have to tell your fans about the crew songs, how we always talk about those, you know.
Oh yeah.
No, right off the bat, I mean, that like it's like it opened me about. You ever watch on YouTube where they show like a little kid the first time he or she get like some sugar or some ice cream and the eyeballs like what? That's how when that song came on. That's how my eyes was like, yeah, I was in it. I was in it after that because you know you had the EPs and you had the tapes or whatever. What's the 12-minute cut that they had the one time?
Puffing on blunts and drinking Tanqueray.
Another crew song. I was listening, Stranded on Death Row. know, the Blunts and Tanqueray, they had me all wrapped in. I was dog pound for life after that.
Yeah.
You already knew it. You knew, I'll be back for the dog pound because I was in college when dog pound tape came out. To this day I throw that puppy on and be like, yeah, tell me something about this tape. Nobody can tell me about this dog food tape.
What about you, Big Hunt? Stranded on Death Row.
Stranded on Death Row, man. It starts off like you said with Bushwick Bill. Like the first sentence, I don't know what Bushwick's talking about. More than three disagree because they're weak, whatever, man. But I thought it was. I think he really used him because his voice is so unique. You know what I'm saying? But then it comes at doo like in the background, like it almost sounds like a scary song, man. Then them drums hit. You know, them drums are the drums from Mind Playing Tricks. Well, the Ghetto Boy sampled it from something else, and then he's got that. What is that? EPMD. So what you saying going in the background?
Yep.
Man, so Dre, like from Rat-a-Tat-Tat to High Powered to Stranded on Death Row, these beats are like some of the greatest beats ever. But you can't dance to them, but you gotta be bobbing your head to these beats, man, because they hit so hard. And I think everyone accomplished what they were supposed to. Like after hearing Corrupt's voice on that, you're looking forward to hearing Corrupt again. After all this, you're looking forward to hearing Rage again. And then I like what Dr. Dre did with RBX verse when he said that in this dimension, I'm the presenter, and it starts kind of echoing and going in both speakers. And I like what he did with Snoop when Snoop said, I'm not flagging, but I'm just sagging. And it's panning back and forth in between the two speakers. I think Dre really, like Jermaine said, he really coached them on this song, man. And like I feel like on Stranded on Death Row, Dre was telling them, listen, man, this is y'all time to shine. If you want a future, you put it down on this song, people gonna be looking forward to you. And if you ask me, Snoop part was good, but I think like the other guys were a little bit more lyrical than he was on that song. But like I said again, no chorus. Man, that's got to be one. That might be the answer because we said earlier that EPMD's Headbanger CD came out that year. That might have been the answer to the Headbanger because in that same year you had EPMD CD came out, Redman and Daz Effect CD came out. So the Hit Squad was kind of running New York over there. So yeah, you got Stranded on Death Row and Dog Pound.
So who got the best verse on the album?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'll sit that out.
No, I can.
It's got to be, for me, it's either Rage verse on Stranded on Death Row or Corrupt's verse on Stranded on Death Row.
What about the lyrical gangbang? What about those lyrical gangbang verses?
Nasty.
Fulfill the rap, nigga. I rip in half, niggas.
Fuck this, so up your cash, nigga.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'll make them stack. I'm scammers as Jimmy Swag. It's got to be on one of those songs. It's definitely on one of those songs, man.
You got to do this tape. You got to do this CD some justice and go back.
You got the CD.
You got to have a part two. We have to do this track by track or whatever. Because I'm looking at Stranded on Death Row and you know what's next? You know we've had this conversation over the years too. Fuck off songs. Dre always had a fuck off.
Like Automobile. Oh gosh, man.
Biggie's had a fuck off song. Pac, everybody had. And tell me, I don't care what nobody say. Y'all might disagree, but the Roach is a classic fuck off song. It's a classic
is that RBX talking on that again?
On the when he talking about his high.
Yeah. Me, man.
yeah.
I'm cool. I don't want another.
Because you got Rage. You can hear Rage in the background too. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like I was excited when that song came on when I was riding in the car. The first time I going back and listening to it and that song came on.
Now my question about the Roach, this is more for Big Hunt. do you think today's kids would be patient enough to listen to a song like that and appreciate it for what it is?
Oh man, no. I I have two 15-year-old twins, man. They're into everything that's lit. Like, we gotta be like, no, I don't think they would have the energy for it, man. I mean the patience for it, man. Like that's a very slow song. You gotta and be, especially we've heard probably the original song back in the day.
Right.
Our parents might have played it and stuff like that. You might have heard it on TV. So, it kind of sparked nostalgia from you. So, I would say probably no, man. Yeah.
So, y'all favorite song on there? Favorite song on the Chronic album?
Okay, you ain't even get to the last song.
Oh, my bad. Oh, what was? Oh, snap. Bees Ain't Ish. A classic story song.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's a great song, man. That's a great song, man. I like Corrupt's part. I like Snoop's part, man. Like, man, Snoop, man, he just has so much like potential. Don't get me wrong, he's got a great career, man. I just, after Dre left, Dre gives him life and everything. But yeah, it's a classic. That's a man, like, you would hear these things back in the day with these songs, but until you really witnessed it in your own life, how you say, his little cousin is messing with his girl, man. I'm not saying that happened to me, but I think we've all experienced some shady things from some women. You're like, okay, now I can appreciate this song a little more. So
I'm gonna be to sit that part out, but you about to have a bunch of women mad. You ain't having Megan Thee Stallion or somebody mad at me because y'all said some nigga.
Girl Summer.
Hey, people do what they do, man. Do what they do.
I mean,
but we don't love them hoes.
And it's like that. I mean, shoot. Yeah, I mean, they all came to play on that record. I mean, for me, Daz, like, never was like the dopest rapper, but like he came to play on that song. And for a dude to rhyme good on a song that's basically a story song, speaks volumes about, again, Dre. Like, there's no way you can tell me that he just went in a booth and said, like, this is how we gonna lay it down. No, he was taught how to do those things. And I mean, I don't want to go into bashing Daz or anything like that, but like, I watched a ton of Daz interviews about the Chronic making process and how much he did versus what Dre did. From accounts that Warren G tells, it was Daz and Warren G who found a lot of the samples, and then Dre worked his magic, and then boom, that's what happened. And so, like, it was definitely a team effort, but without the head coach doing what he does, it wouldn't be that. But if you listen to Daz, like, Warren, man, he was just
coaching. Warren G and Daz, love him. They was players. They had a mean crossover and a nice jumper. Dre the coach. Okay, you got the moves. Let me show you how to use them. Yeah. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And then
I see.
Dre, Daz went on and stepped up and became a good producer, and he got some legendary tracks under the Daz umbrella. Warren G got some legendary tracks under the Daz umbrella. You know I'm a Daz guy.
Yeah.
I'm a Daz guy, for sure. But we talking about the Chronic, this is ushering them in and introducing them to the world. And then now Daz, all them guys, they took the ball, they took the baton and ran with it. Some went further than others or whatever, but he introduced us to them. He brought us into their world. And looking at this, back then, 20, 30, I don't even know how many years ago. My math is terrible. Looking back then, you know what I'm saying?
8 years.
Let's be honest. You know what? You talking about zigzags and smoking. That was our pops. You know what I mean? With in his little bungalow or hideaway, your pop's friends and everything, they were smoking weed. He came out with this and changed how people our generation perceived the Chronic moving forward to today, whereas a part of people's generally their life. He said this CD ushered that in, and I feel like it commercialized it.
Yeah.
You talking about it? You talking about he ushered in the marijuana use?
Yeah. People was doing it. People were doing it. That's what
doing
I'm
it
saying.
openly now.
For our generation, he ushered it in. Like, cause think about after this came out. I'm sorry, man. After this came out, if dudes were smoking, they was really smoking after that,
Yeah.
and it was okay. And you wasn't cool if you wasn't doing it.
Yeah. Because I didn't even know what chronic was. Like, okay, what is the chronic? Oh, that's weed. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Remember on the video with G thing is Warren G rolling up that joint. He looks up, ooh, he turns around.
They blurred it out on the hat.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, so favorite track.
I'm gonna say Stranded on Death Row. Yeah, I'll say that.
Man.
I'm gonna say Stranded. I think the most unique track is High Powered.
Yeah, I love High Powered because I love Rage in the background.
Yeah.
There's so much going on, but like, hey, you're gonna say, hey, you gotta take one of these songs and live with it. I would take Stranded on Death Row too.
I'm going with the people's pick of High Powered, man. Mm-hmm. That beat right there.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what it is. I'm gonna listen to it again, and I'm gonna find those samples and listen to it. But like, it's just something about that beat, and it's just something about the presentation of the song that get me every time. And I mean, I love the whole album, but like, I would roll with High Powered as my favorite song on there.
Well, Kev Nash, I'm big on production. I already looked at the sample. That he made that beat, but there's this, I think it's in the left speaker. There's this, that's the only sample in there on High Powered.
Really?
Yeah, that's the only sample in there. You check behind me though, but I think he made that beat. But then it's this one part that's going and then it stops and it keeps doing that. That's the only sample in there.
When I'm listening back to especially High Powered and like the Roach, I could only imagine what the Weed Heads was like in that summer of '92. I can only imagine, like, I could, like, we talk about how music inspires you to do stuff. Like, I could only imagine them getting high to this song. Or like, I can remember people in our neighborhood, now they drinking Tanqueray. Like, I ain't never known what
that
Tanqueray
stuff was very influential. Yeah.
You can't tell me it wasn't a spike in Tanqueray or gin and juice drinking.
Yeah.
At Bells on the Circle or 5 or wherever you was at, and if you're in Dayton, Cincinnati, and on out Slauson, wherever you was at back then, I don't even New York. You can't tell me it wasn't a spike in some gin and juice or some Tanqueray. It just was.
I think the first time I drank was, probably was gin and juice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. That Seagram's, that bumpy face Seagram's. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was because of the Snoop. That stuff is so influential, man.
Right.
So influential. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So, I mean, you got to answer the question, the biggest question of all, man. Does this album stand the test of time?
I feel like the album stands the test of time. And then
100%.
You gotta ask yourself, like, what's the test of time? Because I know, like, you look at like the source, because the source goes back and
he was ready. He was waiting.
I was waiting. You should have just fast forwarded to this part for the source.
Buckle up,
Hunt. The album, and then they had to go back and then re-review. They've done that a couple of times. I don't got no, I was big on the source, man. But yeah, the source reviewed it one time when it first came out, and hey, you know what? Here's their ranking, and then years later, the source went back and reviewed it again. And you know what? To the very first time when it first came out, like I said earlier at the beginning, like nobody can tell me, even the biggest West Coast guy, I'm a game guy. I love the game and everything like that. He can't tell me that he knew this was gonna be a classic. Nobody on Slauson, none of them they could tell me, hey, we knew it was gonna be a good CD. We knew he was gonna rock to it. Nobody could tell me, hey, we knew this was gonna be a classic, unless you was part of this project. If you was a part of this project, your Snoops, your Warren G's, when they was cooking this, if Big Daz, somebody tell me that, hey, I knew this was gonna be something special, My boy corrupt indeed. You like, and everybody say indeed. Hey,
indeed, he's sucking his teeth.
You knew DLC, if he tell me that they knew y'all was a part of it, so that's cheating. You knew what y'all was cooking up. The general public, nah. You just thought it was gonna be good.
Well, hold on. Now, Dr. Dre said when Snoop came out, he was gonna be the biggest thing. He used an analogy. He said he's gonna be the biggest thing to black people since the hair straightening comb. So he knew he knew that Snoop was gonna be big. So you got DLC writing those rhymes, a lot of those rhymes like he did on the Niggas for Life CD. So I think they would say we maybe not had knew it was gonna be a classic, but we knew we were doing something magical. I think they might have thought that because Deep Cover was such a huge success.
But all you
Dre have already
enforcing what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's okay if they knew they was part of this project. They was part of cooking this up. I'm talking about the yous and me's and the average guy walking down the street who had to buy this tape. We didn't. They brought us into that world and was like, hey, here's this banger that I dropped on.
Yeah. And that has always been my argument for Dre being the greatest producer, because he has put together some great CDs, like from Eazy-E's CD, from the straight the two NWA CDs, from the Chronic to the Snoops. He's got this string of great CDs of different people, and I don't know if Premier pretty much. I know he has some great Gangstar CDs. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if he has the catalog of whole CDs that are classic like a Dr. Dre does, man. Back then, because you got to think, off the Dre Day CD, the B-side was Puffing on Blunts and Drinking Tanqueray. It was a Let Me Ride remix. Did I text y'all the Dre Day extended version for 10 minutes? Man, Dre was a busy dude back then, man. It's like, Dre, we need you to get busy again, man. Like, I know you made all this billion now, man. We need you to get busy again, man. And I remember you picked me up from Collinwood, man. You was playing that Dog Pound for Life off the Above the Rim soundtrack. But I know that Daz produced that. But man, it was just a Dog Pound, man. They was hitting hard, man. Like, all they stuff coming out was just like, wow. It's like, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned Above the Rim, Hunt. I listened to that was like the first CD I ever bought, Above the Rim soundtrack. And if you listen to like Daz production, like that's on Tupac, like his stuff is way more aggressive than Dre stuff. Okay. And then if you listen to like a Warren G, like it sounds, I don't want to diss Warren G or nothing like that, but it's like almost an imitation of what Dre did with the G-Funk stuff on the Chronic. I can tell the difference between the two. Like when you was talking about the little noises and the sounds, like those songs don't have that extra little sauce or whatever you want to call it on them.
Yeah.
So like when Dad says like I produced that record, I'm like, well, no, you didn't, because I can tell. My ears tell me you didn't.
Can tell.
I can
you
tell.
You can definitely tell.
I can tell. Like we can do Tupac All Eyes on Me a little bit later, but you can tell which songs were produced by Daz and the ones that were produced by Dre, for sure. It for me is kind of easy.
I saw an interview with Daz, and he said that Dre's the number one producer, he's the number two. So I do respect the fact that he does give Dre that his props, that he was the understudy up under Dre, and he learned all this stuff from Dre. And I think Daz, because we all know that Dre, he kind of fell to the back with Death Row. Man, Daz cranked out that America's Most Wanted with Tupac and Snoop. Yep. He cranked out the cut with Corrupt, Redman, and Meth. What's the name of the song?
Damn.
CD?
Track 4. Shoot, I forget the name of it.
What is the name of that? So, well, we know what we're talking about. Then he cranked out I Ain't Mad at You. Dad says he got some cuts up under his belt. He definitely has that. So, and then he did, I think, the whole Dog Pound CD, the first CD, except for like 2 songs. Dre did like 2 songs. So.
Yeah, but so with the verses that's going on, y'all familiar with that with Swiss and Timbo? Like every time that they drop a verses on the Saturdays or whatever, they like do a recap after or whatever. And every time I go to Swiss or Tim's Live, I always comment in there, I want to see Daz versus ... or Daz versus DJ Quick. Like, for me, like I really haven't seen any like West Coast love on those verses yet. So like every time they do that, I always comment Daz because, like you just said, Daz got a lot of records, and I mean, so does DJ Quick. He got a lot of R&B stuff that people don't even know that DJ Quick did. So like that's something that I really want to try to push people to do. Like, yo, let's get everybody on there. I know like the latest one that they're talking about, maybe like Missy taking on Busta Rhymes or something like that.
Ooh, that's the only person you can pair her with. Me. That's equivalent right there.
She about to smack. Hey, Busta my guy, but she about to smack that dude. She got way too many records. Way too many records.
I'm a Busta guy, but you know I'm a Mrs. Elliott guy.
Man, they are such the equivalent for their videos, their style. Man, wow, that's what happened to the Ludacris and Nelly? That happened last night?
Gosh, that nigga Nelly got smoked. Smoked. That's what I said. I thought Luda was gonna win by like 2 or 3. Luda smacked him like 16-4. But you know what?
I like Luda way more, yeah.
Nelly was playing the wrong records at the wrong time, and he didn't even play like about 3 or 4 good records that he could have won with. Like, whenever he would have a window, he wouldn't capitalize and play a good record. He would just play. Luda would play an all right record. He would play, I'll play your all right record too. Like, it was just bad business for Nelly.
I gotta look at the list. And see. I think Luda's way more lyrical. I think we all think Luda's way more lyrical.
I mean, that's by a mile. But man, this was fun, man. This was fun, yo.
Yeah, this was, man. This definitely was.
So, shoot, I'm gonna get back with y'all for the next one that I'm gonna have y'all on. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. I'm gonna get y'all on for a good one though, because I'm gonna get. Matter of fact, I know exactly which one. Let me cook on that because I know y'all got different views about this one particular album. So it's gonna be fun to see y'all go at it.
On your boy.
Yeah,
money back.
Yeah, you already know.
I already know. I want my money back.
Yeah, I can do either one of the woos, either one or the dub. I can do either one of those.
He ain't talking about Wu-Tang. He know what I'm talking about. I want my money back.
MET.
Oh no, I can't. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
I'm thinking about calling up Young Kels Vicious for some Notorious.
Yeah, you definitely got to get him.
Yeah. I got to get Kels on for Notorious next week. So, hey man,
I need to be back for Chronic 2000 and to listen. He is the reason that we ain't go to the concert.
Man, come on, man. Come on, man.
Smoke.
Come on, man.
Charisma, Snoop was on 12 on some of them tracks.
They had Cube with them and the West Side Connection. That would have been
Eminem.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. What was I thinking, man? But put me down for a woo, man. Put me down for a woo.
Got you. I think I'm gonna have you in a fort on the woo.
Okay. All right. Let me know, man. Let me know.
So, hey, fellas, I appreciate it, man.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Hey,
MOBB.
I want my